Yeah, Bob, I think this was your suggestion. Right. Newcastle County has a requirement, and you may have seen them when you travel down into Delaware. They have a requirement that if a property is going to be developed, that the owner or the developer place a sign on the property saying this is proposed to be developed for a shopping center or a residential subdivision or whatever, have a small copy of the plan. And so the question before and what I copied for you was the regulation out of Newcastle County's, what they call their Unified Development Code. So the question before the board is this something that you're interested in? And if you are, then the solicitor and I will, get our heads together and prepare an ordinance for you guys to authorize for hearing, and we'll have a hearing, and if it's adopted, then we'll have such a requirement.
I'm all for it. We talked about that years ago, something similar to it, but didn't, who was saying that it was an encumbrance because it blocks traffic or something?
It would be put up in a location that it would be visible, but that it wouldn't block traffic or any sight distance or anything like that.
I know where it was, up on, remember they were developed right up there where the church is, up on Guernsey Road, North Guernsey Road, right by the park, that little development, that the intermittent stream. Remember we talked about that, and that guy there, that developer, had said that.
Oh, Village Green.
Yeah, that one was Village Greens, that's what it was. I remember talking about something like that. I like that idea. It's a good idea.
And my only caveat is that the sign isn't made into some type of an advertisement. It's strictly very dry and
Yeah.
informative.
If you've seen the ones in Newcastle County, they're dry and informative,
Okay.
not an advertisement at all.
Okay.
I don't want a copy of the plan on the sign.
There's a copy of the plan, but I just don't want like new exciting.
I think New London has something similar to that, because I remember actually looking at the shape of the properties on different signs.
Is everybody all right that we move forward, get Steve to talk to our
So that's a
solicitor?
good idea. I like that idea.
Wow.
Okay.
You all right?
I put it at the idea, and so I better vote.
He doesn't like it now.
All right, thank you.
All right. Moving on to plans. Do we have any other new business? Or move on to-
No?
I
Plans.
have a
Come-
question.
Sure.
I'm from Mother Lane, and I'm not sure where this falls.
I'm having a real hard time hearing you.
I said, I'm probably out of line, I don't know where this would fall into what category, and I'm hoping you can help me. I had some property for sale on Guernsey Road, I'm sure you know what property I'm talking about. Brian Nagel was supposed to be the attorney for the buyers, not for me, he didn't represent me in any way. He tells me that he's going to have my property removed from ag. And,
From the agricultural zone?
exactly, it wasn't on, this was before, he tells me he's going to have that removed. I talked to him several times, and I haven't gotten an answer, and he hasn't applied for anything. So I was wondering, is there a rule or a way, or is there some forms he's supposed to fill out and hasn't? I would like to know. I haven't gotten an answer either.
Okay.
Sorry, your name?
Pennell.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Mrs. Pennell. Now, I don't know. Let me double check. I think your property was put into the ag security area.
Originally, it was not, but when the buyers were going to buy that, Mr. Nagel asked that it be put on so it would be easier for the buyers to buy the property.
Right.
And of course, that is a mess.
Didn't go through.
But anyhow, he tells me in January, I spoke to him several times, and in January, he said he would apply. But I have called him and I have got no answer in
Okay.
10 years.
Okay,
So
that
is there a
means,
rule, or is there some way he's supposed to apply for this, or is there a limit, or how does this work?
okay, I understand your problem. First, let me see if we voted to put it in the ag security area. I recall it being discussed, and I recall the buyers and Mr. Nagel being here. Let's assume it was. It's a voluntary program. You can remove it, you're the property owner, and I'll find out how you do it, and then I can let you know.
Okay.
All right.
I would appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I would need your phone number, and you don't have to give it to me now. You can either give it to me after the meeting or just write it down, and I can follow up and let you know what the process is. But again, it's voluntary, so if you want to take it out, I'll figure it out for you and tell you how to do it.
Right, okay, because like I said, he was the lawyer for the buyers, not for me.
Okay.
So, all right, I would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? Move on to plans. Coventry Reserve, loading ratio waiver. Mr. Gunn, you want to tell us what's all in here? Oh, they're going to tell us. They're going to tell us what's in here.
Good evening, Diane Frank for Keystone Custom Homes. Thank you for having us back again this evening. Alex Appeal with RGS. Jeff Rutt, who is CEO of Keystone Custom Homes. Alex will give you just a very brief overview of where we left off last month, and then we'll move forward from there.
As you're all aware, we were here last month and discussed the requested loading ratio for the Coventry Reserve project in quite a bit of depth. Coming out of that meeting, it was requested by the board to provide some additional technical information for the review of the board members. So we did submit a letter dated March 16th from RGS. And that basically gives a history of the project from where it began as a 32-lot subdivision to where we are today as a 20-lot subdivision. And then in further detail, an updated waiver request letter was submitted also dated March 16th based on the provisions or the requirements that we understood to date that the township engineer we believe is comfortable with as far as the ratios for the project, as well as additional documentation from the developer to address some of the specific items related to education, warranties, which were all key factors. So we wanted to make sure that the township had everything in black and white. There wasn't any confusion or questions about what exactly was being offered. Since that time, we did receive a letter from URS dated April 2nd with a few comments just as far as mostly clarification items, I would qualify them as. We did submit a response to that letter on April 6th and basically just went down through and stated that the developer was comfortable and in agreement with the items that URS had raised in their review of our March 16th submission. I'm more than happy to get into as little or as much detail as you like. I know we had a pretty lengthy discussion about loading ratios last month, so I'll leave that to the board as far as how much information how deep you would like to dive into the issues, the technical issues.